are you doing any specific goal planning for 2025? And if so, what does that look like? So for me, I do quarterly look forward at things. And because I've changed my marketing and changed some other things, I am really looking at now trying to make sure that I'm as automated as possible in what I do. Clearly, some things, I can't be automated, but that I really want to be scalable and automated. And so that has been sort of my mantra, and it helps with my clients as well, because I'm not revenue generating. Well, I am for my company, but generally in someone else's company, I am not a revenue generating individual. I help them get connected with people or find processes, like Tristan and Richard and Ron, to find those, and Anik, to find those kinds of opportunities. But, some are tax planning, all sorts of things that they, normally maybe think about, but never really do anything about. And I do it with my team too. I have a team of 3 people. And so we reassess our goals and objectives. And the group knows here that have been here before that the people that work for me are part-time. However, I make sure that they have an opportunity to learn new tools and techniques, and that they can apply that to what they do for me, but they can also apply that to perhaps launching and growing their own business. So right now, I'm pretty much their sole income, but I want them to be able to make me the side hustle and then have other people be their main business. The only caveat there is I tell them, you can't leave me until we both agree that it's okay. Because we're such a well-oiled machine and we work so well together. It's just like, I don't want to lose you, but I do want to help you to grow, because I'm more in the sunset of my career where all of them are much earlier in their career. So that's a little bit about what I do. And Tristan, I think you had something you wanted to share.
Yeah. So, people are probably going to look at me and say this is a crazy way of planning your yearly goals. Spent a long time in retail, so I really do start with year-over-year numbers. I'm going to look at my last 3, and these tend to be very boring numbers. Revenue. We have 100% client churn because my goal is to get fired. My goal is I'm only there to build the stuff that you need and then get someone to do it or hire automation. But what's the success rate? The perfect diet doesn't mean it's the perfect habit for that person. So you can't be 100% success rate no matter how hard you try. And so that one's really easy because you're just kind of reflecting. And it's not the infinite growth method. It's just like, I did this much revenue this year and I did this many clients. There's going to be fractions in there than ratios that really matter. So I'm not looking for a 5% increase every year, but we do review it each year and we start to do some real ratios against other numbers and make sure that those are clean. And if they can be more efficient, but not necessarily greater. Then the second one, which I think where more people are living in, is, well, what are the big goals of that next year? We don't even think about that until we look at all the goals that we did last year. Again, always look back before, kind of look forward. And I know it sounds silly, but we look at the goals that we were most wrong about. Not whether we were right or wrong, whether we did them right. We're like, we were just really wrong on all these. And we kind of joke and we laugh and we say, we kind of beat ourselves up about how, as dudes, once we're wrong, we'll just kind of beat ourselves up and we'll just I can't believe I really thought we'd be off by this much and this idea wouldn't work. And only at that point do we really assess, all right, man, what do we want to do to make this year interesting? It has to be interesting, because if it's not, we're not going to be here. So what's uninteresting? Are we bored with an industry? It's a real self-assessment that we want to be interested in it, because we can easily burn it and just focus on crypto. I like working with entrepreneurs. I like helping them, but you have to pay for that service. So I look at those 2 things, and genuinely then I just have a weird network goal. I've got the Power Connector is a great book. They have a 150, 50, and 5 rule. I really do look at those 50 people and see if they need to be moved into the 100, and look at those 100 people and see if they need to be moved into the 50. And I do review on how accurate those guesses are. I think the scientific method only works when you pose a theory. If you won't commit to what you think the outcome will be of whatever your test is, you're already not committed to it. And it's not about being right or wrong. The extra thinking of committing to a theory is what actually allows you to reverse engineer backwards how you're wrong. If you don't commit to it early in the beginning, your brain and your ego is just going to use your subconscious to just do mental jumping jacks. And there's no information in that. You're actively lying to yourself about market data that you could have. So pose theories. When you are setting goals, pose theories underneath them too, so you can review the end of the year. Yeah. That's what I do.
That's great. Yeah, I love that. I love that. Looking back, especially at what didn't really work out the way you had hoped, and so, and why did that, happen? And sometimes for me, it's because I was deciding for the clients or my customers what I thought was best for them rather than really listening to their voice and saying, okay, how can I now tailor my services to help them? So, and I believe, Ron, you had something you wanted to share?
On the subject of planning for the next year, it occurred to me that the company I work with, the reason that they can do what we do on a performance basis and do it for big companies and little companies along is because we've developed automation for all of our services so that we can do them efficiently and effectively without a whole lot of cost on our side. We've been working on a system now for a very long time that we call medical underpayment. Hospitals are getting cheated and have been getting cheated for decades. And we now have a system that identifies the violation of the contracts for them.
Oh, those are adherence with the contracts with the insurance
And
company.
we identify that and
Yes, that's a good point.
cause the insurance companies to pay back that money. And it's a huge deal now. And it's gotten to a point now where we're saying we better get a few more people here. This is going to be a lot of work. And so one of my goals is to find some key personnel to help with that and make it all work for everybody.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. Having worked for so long in healthcare, that those contract negotiations are really important, and then the adherence to those contracts. And if they decide that they don't like how something looks on an invoice, on a billing, then the insurance company can kick it back. And so I don't know how many days it is now because I've been out of the industry for 5 years, but it used to be 45 days. So if they didn't pay within 45 days, so frequently they'll kick it back so that it starts again for another 45 days.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it can be a real issue. And another area your company might think about is in the ER. Frequently people don't collect your portion of the payment, the patient portion.
Yeah.
And maybe it's only $50, maybe it's only $30, but if they collected all of that, that would be amazing. And also hospitals need to invest in those people in their offices that are doing the collections, that are doing admitting people, patient registration, making sure that the insurance, they've got the right information. Because if they pay them and they train them, and they don't pay them very well, that they're going to really see a real jump in the cash to their bottom line. So, because hospitals are hurting for sure. And I think, Tristan, you had something else to share? Thank you, Ron.
It was only a quick point when you were referring to often the questions that we're asking, it's not the answer that we're asking the question. It is the conversation behind the answer. Mm-hmm. And I realize I'm saying that I've always dealt in partnerships or done consulting as business. If you're a solopreneur or you don't have a leadership team yet, it is vital to have a sounding board for that process because it is the conversation. And this might sound mean or like bad advice. Don't recommend your friends or your spouse. Right. I see why they would seem to be the best person. And all of that common sense is not useful in business. These masterminds, you will find a peer, and there will be nothing better than both of you talking about the end of situation, very vulnerably accepting it and talking about it together. But really, the question, you're not trying to answer the question. You want to have a conversation about the answer because that's where the meat of your business is. The answer is nothing. It is really the how underneath it. Yeah, I just wanted to add that in.
No, that's a great point.